Hey guys, today we've got a really exciting new product from Urban Carry, and they are calling this the Revo holster system. This is really something. I mean, Urban Carry, you're probably familiar with. You've seen their ads. Perhaps you yourself own one of their Urban Carry. This is the Urban Carry 2 inside the pant, down the leg concealment holster. These have been really making their rounds in the last year or two, become very popular. I've carried in this a few times. They're really an innovative product. They're not for everybody. The draw stroke is certainly unique and perhaps challenging for some people, but that's Urban Carry. But now they've come out with this whole line of a lot of other holster products. This is really kind of interesting and cool and exciting all at the same time. It might be a little confusing to look at to begin with. So let me kind of go through each of these different backer plates, or whatever you want to call them, just these different pieces of the system. They all carry or serve a certain purpose. So let's go through one by one. Right here I'm wearing the shoulder rig, and I'll tell you, I'm not much of a shoulder rig guy, but this one's kind of cool. I mean, it's extremely well made. It's got nice wide straps where it sits on the shoulder. You got good solid positive locking clasps where it clips onto your belt. And we can carry either spare mags on one side, my gun on the other side. This is a double mag pouch. This right here is a single mag pouch. And what's really cool and special about the Revo system is with this disc that you see on the back of each of these components. It's on the holster, it's on this double mag pouch, on the single mag pouch. This allows the holster or pouch or whatever to be placed at any angle on these various backer plate deals. And that's really kind of cool and exciting. It's also what makes this whole system work, because it's what allows me to place this holster in a more forward oriented position for that's appropriate for shoulder carry and draw, but also allows me to have it oriented straight up and down, zero cant, for an appendix holster. This is the Appendix Rig right here. This is a classic OWB, and I can have an FBI cant. I can have a straight up, zero cant. I could also wear this cross draw and go with a reverse cant. That's what's really cool about this Revo system, is this Velcro disc allows you to position these things any angle, infinite number of angles. So that is really quite clever. So let's go through each of these different holster products. Like I said, this is a shoulder rig. It's comfortable, it works, it's secure. My complaint with the shoulder rig, however, has to do probably more with the holster pocket itself, because I'm not sure if this particular holster pocket is ideal for a shoulder rig. Let me explain why. Now, I'll go into greater detail on the actual holster pocket in a moment, and you see the Velcro disc on the rear there. But this is only relying on form-fitting friction as its retention. And I would like to see a strap where it's going to be utilized in a shoulder rig, because basically anytime I'm going to bend over, I am trusting that friction fit to hold that gun where gravity is trying to pull that gun right out of the holster. Almost any other of these configurations, we have gravity helping us. But in the shoulder rig, it's a whole other animal. So I'm not sure that this is something I would go with for shoulder carry, because I'm not sure I trust or completely, believe this is going to stay in that forever and ever. And as you know, we just recently saw in the news where a gentleman carrying a revolver in a shoulder holster had it fall out as he was leaning into his vehicle to calm to soothe his crying child, and in the process, his gun fell out. He went to catch it and accidentally snagged the trigger and shot himself, and he died. So retention in a shoulder holster is really important. Let's talk about the actual holster pocket itself. I think it's really nicely designed. The stitching is really well done. It should be said, these are made by American craftsmen, leather craftsmen in Kentucky or Tennessee, one of those two. They told me, but I don't remember well. I apologize for that. We met one of their craftsmen at an event where Urban Carry invited us out to their headquarters to see all this debuted and to try it out. I've now had the opportunity to wear this and test it for several weeks now. So I've got pretty good feedback to give you on most of these products. But we watched one of their craftsmen, make a few things right there on a stitching machine, and you could tell that they know their stuff, that they care about what they're doing, that they care about making a quality product. And I have nothing against the quality and the quality of both the manufacturing and the material that's used in these holster products. One gripe I have about the actual the holster pouch itself, and I did bring this up to Dave, owner at Urban Carry, and he said he would address it right away, and it made sense to him when I brought it up to him, and he said that they've addressed that in their manufacturing processes. So hopefully by the time these are actually, and they're on the market as of October 19th, so this video is coming to you after they've been officially released. But I've been told they've addressed this, and this is a complaint I have about many holster manufacturers, particularly in the leather realm. And it's just a common gripe, because I think it's a little detail that is oft overlooked. It's easy to overlook, and Urban Carry is not alone in this, so understand that. And I was super appreciative that they took my feedback seriously and said they'd get to work right away to address that. And what that is this cut. We got this sweat shield or guard that goes up the side of the slide, and that's good and all, but it should be contoured and cut the same way as the rest of the gun. And so what you see is just this little bit of leather that is obstructive to the web of your hand as you are trying to get good purchase as you're drawing from this holster. Now, I don't know if that would be an issue with all of the different holster pockets with the different models of guns. This is one of those things that you really have to custom tailor each holster pocket to each gun to make sure that you take into account all those little details. But other than that, like I said, it's a great, well-made, quality product that has about the right amount of friction for retention and secure carrying of that firearm. There's not much of a click or anything like that. It's just nicely formed to the gun as far as that pocket goes. So I picked up the OWB Rig. I was really excited about it. Now, the way these rigs work, each one of these, you see these kind of half crescent leather arms that swing down. Got a little button here, and they unclip and they swing out. So the whole idea here is that you're going to take your holster pouch or pocket and you're going to place it on there where you like it, being careful to line everything up nicely. And then these are going to fold down and over that Velcro backer, okay? And that's what's going to, you not only have some really high quality Velcro that's holding things on, but you have these leather arms that swing down and hold on as well. So I got the OWB Rig and I started carrying for a few hours. I was super excited. I like OWB Carry. It's obviously more comfortable, convenient, fast to draw. In the cooler months, it works really great when I'm wearing a jacket. So I got it all strapped on, and after a few hours, I noticed that these clasps had popped open. And I think that's because this leather, this is pretty, it's nice and thick and well made, and it takes a little bit of time, I think, to break in. And so I think I haven't had as much trouble. The more I've worn all these products, I haven't had that continue to happen. So just, I guess, a word to the wise, if you're trying this out for the first time, don't give up if these things keep on clipping the first day or two, because just give it some time and break-in period, and I think that'll solve most of those issues. So that was one thing I did notice, though. All right, so that's the OWB Rig. The next thing I tried was the Appendix Rig. And I was super excited about this because Appendix is my chosen method of carry these days for the most part. And this worked really well. It was comfortable. It was the right size, shape, all that. These holsters, or all these different, like I said, I just keep calling them rigs or backers or whatever. They got a little bit of padding on the rear with some breathable mesh material. Got high quality, high grade leather on the front, good quality stitching, nice heavy duty, wide, thick spring steel clips. Nothing cheap, nothing, you know, flimsy about any of these products. I got the Appendix Rig, and this is for a right-handed carry. So the idea is that where the clip is compared to the holster is, I think the idea is that it's going to be a little bit to the one side of my belt buckle, and the gun is going to be in that 12:30, 1 o'clock position. Now, I actually feel like it might work a little bit better for a righty, to where, or at least for me, this is my personal preference, for a righty to use a left-handed rig to carry an appendix, because that would actually put the clip typically on just this side of your first belt loop and put the gun in that right position. That felt a little bit, you know, better to me when I actually kind of tried it more on a left-handed type position. But I think to each their own. You know, every appendix carrier is going to have a little bit different way of doing things. I did find for me that this clip ended up being either where I want my belt buckle to be, or being right in the way of my first belt loop on the left. I couldn't quite find a happy place. Now, another thing too, make sure this screw here is tightened down really tight, that this thing is not swinging as easily as it is right now, because with this just being a single clip appendix rig on this one side, every time you sit down and get up and sit down and get up, this thing has a tendency to want to, you're basically pushing the gun and the holster sort of up and out of your pants like this. It'd probably work better if it had some way, a double clip system, but I don't know how they would do that here and make it all work for everybody. But that was a problem I did keep experiencing, and I kept tightening this down, and I still wasn't quite happy with this tendency to kind of ride up in the pants. Sometimes it took a few hours. Other times when this was really loose, it would just come right up, and I'd find myself readjusting, and that's never a good thing. So something to be aware of on the appendix rig. I think on the OWB rigs, and there's two of them here, there's a standard, and there's this one here has they call this the plus. So this is the Revo IWB, and this is the Revo IWB plus. I think these are winners here as far as IWB carry goes. There's not really any issues, except for one, which I'll cover in just a moment. This obviously has no raised sweat guard. This one does. This will be ideal for some of you out there that like those sweat guards. I personally don't. In fact, I will say that in having the holster attached to this one, I've already got a sweat guard on the actual holster pouch itself. Now, some of you are liking these bigger raised sweat guards to protect your body, your skin, whatever, from the grip of the gun as well. But I find that you get so much material here, and it makes it so difficult to actually, you got to drive your hand and thumb and stuff in between this and the holster and the gun, and it's not practical, nor is it conducive to fast, efficient draw. But some of you guys like those big sweat guards, so here you go. As far as IWB goes, these were reasonably comfortable. I did have one minor complaint, and I think it's something you're going to see throughout this line because of the nature and the way this thing's designed. If you look at this right here, it's got quite a bit of good, you know, it's pretty thick. We've got a double layer leather thickness here. We have that leather backer on the actual holster pocket itself. Then we have leather of the holster, and then you get to the gun. So you got really four really thick. And there's this other little thing here that's another loop, if you can put a belt through there. Quite a bit of thickness to these products. And I will say, and also observing Jacob that I work with, you know, here at concealedcarry.com, was wearing this IWB quite a bit. And I would look at him and notice that there's a pretty good bulge at about 4:30. If he wasn't careful about how he was dressed, it would be, you know, considerable printing. So that's something to be aware of. I think overall it was still a comfortable holster, comfortable system to wear, but there is some thickness there. It's not as compact as other holster systems or options out there. But the idea here is to have one system that covers you for virtually all possibilities. And in that, I think it does really, truly succeed in a way that nobody else has been able to pull something off. Here we have the ankle rig. Now this is really only going to be practical, I think, for very small guns. I don't even think it's quite as practical for my 43. To me, the 43, now granted I do have this little pinky extension on there. If I took that off, it'd probably be an okay ankle gun. But you know, I needed some pretty baggy pants to fit this underneath. I will say that because you're trying to bend all that material on the leg, that's a little bit of a challenge. These buckles or snaps tended to pop open. I do think that once again it broke in a little bit more over time, but you could definitely feel that tension as you're trying to bend this around the leg. A lot of material there that needs to bend. And also the other thing I noticed, because, and I'll have to go ahead and take this off of the OWB rig, you basically have three, you know, solid rivets here in the center. That kind of almost acts like a pivot point when you're wearing this on the ankle. And so what I mean by that is a lot of times ankle holsters, the gun is you know, it's built as part of the actual ankle rig itself, and things are nice and close and tight in there, and you're not going to get a lot of rocking back and forth. When I was running or walking rapidly, I could feel this kind of swinging slightly. I mean, I don't think it's causing an issue other than it feels odd to me compared to other ankle rigs. It's something you probably would get used to, but I could kind of feel this sort of wobbling on the ankle rig. So another minor complaint there. But I would say as far as ankle rigs go, I actually found this piece to be extremely comfortable and better than most that I've come across. So, and I've worn a few. This is the drop leg holster. And I actually had a lot of fun with this, although it was kind of funny having a drop leg holster with a Glock 43. It's probably not something you see very often, a small gun. You know, this just happened to be the size I requested. I didn't realize what we were getting into. I probably would have gone with a 19 or something if I had realized I was going to have shoulder rigs and drop leg rigs and all this stuff. But I actually had a lot of fun with the drop leg rig here. Once again, well built, well designed, nice big sturdy buckles, solid. Once you get it in place, it works like a drop leg rig should. And I think this is actually a winner. As long as retention is not a concern of yours, and I'll address that again here in just a moment. Once again, I talked about the shoulder rig. This is the single mag pouch. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, point out a couple of things. I mentioned I really appreciate that the straps are wider where they count, right where it's sitting on the shoulder. Well built, well designed leather product, obviously. This is the spare mag pouch. Now I think this does make sense for a shoulder rig to have snaps, because once again, these are typically oriented sideways, and I don't want these mags, falling out. So I think this is definitely appropriate for this. I would like to see them come out with spare mag pouches that work with the Revo system that are an open top design as opposed to having these snaps. I think most civilians probably are not going to be as keen on having these snaps. Plus, from a concealment perspective, these add bulk and printing opportunities as well. So these are billed as being able, you can take these mag pouches off and put them on any one of these. I could carry it OWB, I could carry it IWB as a spare pouch, and it works very well in that regard. But I don't think that these pouches themselves are ideal for concealed carry. They did say that these would work with double and single stack mags. That's because they have a closed top snap design. If they went to an open top, they'd probably need to make them more specific to mags, or at least single versus double stack. So I would like to see some open top design that would be a little bit more applicable to civilian wear. I would think, though, if any of you cops out there or detectives still like wearing or carrying in a shoulder rig, this is probably one worth looking into. I really quite enjoyed wearing it, with the exception of what I brought up earlier with retention. And I think this is on Urban Carry's radar as far as adding some sort of snap to the top of this holster or some other retaining device to make that possible. So it's on the radar. I know they know about it. But let me come now back to what I was saying a moment ago about retention. I mentioned that in regards to this drop leg holster. I would say this also about the OWB holster. I'm going to go ahead and throw this back on. And my concern is that we are just relying on Velcro and two snaps to retain this holster pocket onto the rig and therefore onto your belt. In IWB, this is not going to be an issue, but OWB, or drop leg, would be an issue. And my concern is the ability for some thug to get on there and really start torquing this. Now, Urban Carry, to their credit, did some pull tests, and they measured force it took to strip these out of these mounts. I give them credit as far as what they did, but I'll tell you, anybody that's worked corrections, spent time inside of correctional facilities, you know that one of the things that these thugs are taught to do, besides trying to deactivate retention, they don't do that anymore. They go right for trying to pull the holster right off the belt. And even with some of these high-grade polymer holsters these days, there are a few out there that are more susceptible to being able to do that. It's not just about pulling, it's a rocking and a torquing and a twisting and doing all that very violently in a very short amount of time that leads to failures in holsters. I'm not entirely convinced that this one would pass a test like that, and I'll be happy to demonstrate. So that's basically the system, though. Like I said, I mean, this is a system that is very ambitious. They're trying to be, you know, a shoulder rig, drop leg, IWB. You could even go small back because you can cant that over as far as you want. Appendix carry, ankle. I mean, it's basically every way that you might consider carrying concealed, all with one system that you could swap these holster pockets or shells from rig to rig to rig and between various different types and models of guns. I think as far as that goes, like I said, it's a winner in that they've taken on something very ambitious and they're solving at least one problem for many Americans that no one else has been able to do quite in this way. And so for that, I give them kudos and props. It's not without its failings in some areas, but overall, I give them an A for effort. Probably more like a B minus as far as actual practicality, but that could just be a Riley thing, as I do have some very specific requirements and often complaints that are sometimes shared amongst a lot of different holsters out there. So it's not just an attack only on Urban Carry. Like I say, overall, pretty cool, innovative product system. So this is Riley with ConcealedCarry.com. I hope you enjoyed this review today of the Urban Carry Revo concealed carry system. Pretty innovative product. If you think it's a product for you, I would encourage you to check it out and support them at UrbanCarry.com. This is an American company owned by Americans, employed Americans. They work hard, they build quality products, have excellent customer service. So as far as that's concerned, we're all about encouraging and supporting American businesses, just like we are ourselves. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed this video and others like it, be sure to click subscribe down there below. We'll catch you on the next one.